rest is intended by God to recreate some energy in your soul and your life for the sake of re-engaging the work of the kingdom of God in your job, your workplace, your school, your neighborhood, your family, your church. It's not just to check out.
Well, hey, CLF, ever feel like you're running on empty? Maybe you've looked at your calendar and thought, Sabbath? Is that even possible? Now imagine leading a church, caring for countless people, preaching weekly, and still finding time for family, all without hitting the pause button. Burnout would be just around the corner. In this episode, we sit down with Pastor Dave York to talk about his recent sabbatical. Spoiler alert, it wasn't just extra sleep and long walks, though there was some of that too. God used this time to teach, convict, refresh, and realign him for the work of ministry. Grab your favorite coffee, a notepad, and maybe even your calendar. You'll want to mark off some rest days after this conversation. Well, hey, CLF, you are with myself, Perry. I'm the worship leader here at CLF, and we are back. The boys are back in town. The boys. Whoa. Maybe a little too soon for that.
That's a little high. I don't think I can sing that high.
But we are with none other than the Sermonator. It doesn't have the.
I'm Dave York. I'm the pastor here.
That was your perfect opportunity. You could have said, I'm back.
And all of you can feel the looks I'm giving Perry right now.
It's a healthy tension.
It is. It is completely. Yes.
So anyway, CLF, we're going to call this episode, drum roll, The Lessons in Rest, Pastor Dave York's Sabbatical. So we are with none other than the Sermonator himself. So first question is, let's just bring everybody up to speed on this one. Rewind to about 8 weeks ago. What led up to the decision to take a sabbatical?
I think probably back in 2023 at the Elder and Wives Retreat in November. Dave Rubel brought it up. One of our elders said that he thinks it's time for me to take a break. Just said that, looking over the schedule, my last one was in 2016, and it was 7 years in, and our team has a pretty good handle on trying to keep up with that kind of stuff. So 2024 rolls around, and I just didn't have the space. And then at the Elder Retreat in 24, they said, all right, this is going to happen in 25, and we want you to make a plan for that. So then in January this year, sorry, I got a scratchy voice. January of this year, I brought them a plan back that basically let me they wanted me to take 8 weeks off, and I had it broken up into 4 different segments. And they said, you're not hearing us. So we're going to take 8 straight weeks off. Find time in your calendar for that. And we want you to do no ministry, no work, nothing work related. Just enjoy being with your family.
Yeah. So knowing you're a go-getter. Your schedule is completely full. How did you initially feel stepping away from ministry for that long?
Well, the original, that's why I came back with the plan I did. We're heading into a building project.
Yep, there's a lot going on.
We've got, some transitions we're making on our elder team and eventually on our staff. And I'm in a new role in Sovereign Grace, and so there's a lot going on. So
just a couple things to worry about.
Yeah. So my initial thought is there's just no way, and I was nervous about how the church would do in the sense of with the things we had some things hanging on us that were pretty tough. So, but once I got my head wrapped around, like, this is 8 weeks off, and it was mandated by the guys, then I was like, I'm in, totally in, and started making plans for how I would handle it.
Yep, right. So, again, knowing you had to be pretty intentional about this. So when it came to rest, you even had to be intentional about that. So what were the rhythms of rest and reflection that you had to build into your weeks, even to pull this thing off?
Well, I'm a planner, which I know surprises everybody, but I kind of plan and think ahead, and I'm a dork. I'll have on my to-do list, plan a spontaneous event with your kids, on this date and this time, and then I'll put in there what the spontaneous thing's going to be. That's just I'm kind of that dumb guy. So before the sabbatical, I just spent a lot of time with the Lord, just kind of asking some questions of my soul, questions I had about my own life, and some anxieties I was feeling, some stresses I had, why I felt the way I did about certain things. Planned kind of what books I wanted to read. Obviously, we planned a big trip, so that was going to take a lot of the time, and I was looking forward to being away. Planned some home projects, things I would build and things we would do. But then I just didn't make a plan for the schedule of the day. You know, it'd be like, I just going to let it free load in. With every day being, I was going to change my Bible reading, change my prayer time, and just think that stuff through a little bit more, be a little more intentional with those things in my heart. So yeah, I try to make a plan going into it so that so I could land day one and be fully engaged. Yeah. And I did that with my phone. So I blocked, made sure that, I only allowed certain things through. Yep. I talked to the staff here about, kind of, if people got a hold of me about certain things, I'd feed it back to the staff and who I would do that with. So we'd make some plans ahead of time. Yeah. Christina Luther, my assistant, worked with Jill on if something came up that I needed to know about. Jill would get notified, and then at a right time she'd say, "Hey, just before you go to sleep, I need to have a question for you."
Unless you hear trumpets, don't call.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what it was like. So that's how I kind of prepared for it. And I'm a big fan of, I have through the years, if you're going to go on personal retreats, if you're going to get time away, plan for what you want to do. Don't just walk into it. Yeah, right. Think about it and be intentional. And so I walked into it very intentional. Like, I'm going to rest. I'm not going to engage in work. And I'm going to step completely away. And that's what I did.
Right on. So obviously you finally have time with some family, with Jill. How did God use your sabbatical just to strengthen your marriage and family life?
Well, I mean, I'll just give you a quote. We were in Texas, and we were going to go see Jill's family.
The great state.
So I'm told. Which while I was there, I had to remind myself, like, I so miss the people. I miss the food. But the landscape and I was like, man, this is not pretty.
There's a horizon.
My wife's going to hear that and she's going to say, "What did you just say?" It's just not, anyway. So we were we were going to be going to Austin for a few days at the end of our time in Texas in the middle of July. And we got flooded out because they had that big flood that went down there. So we decided to go to San Antonio instead. Well, one of the things that happened out of that part of it was interesting was we went to a Sovereign Grace church plant. The guy, pastor's name is Phil Estrada, and I've never met Phil. And so we get to the church, introduced ourselves, they're being new and friendly, and it's at a cinema, which is really funny because the cinema was functioning. And you walk into the cinema, and you're like, people are everywhere. You're like, "Where's church?" They say, "Oh, it's Cinema 5," and you got popcorn going off, the whole thing. So I'm like, this is cool. Church where there's a smell of popcorn. Yeah. It was amazing.
I would vote that we're definitely missing that at Jacoby.
Yeah. So we went to the meeting. We went to the church. We had a great time. Phil introduced him, and we got to know him, and he took us to lunch. Well, I'm just going to get somewhere. And he says, so we get to lunch, and he looks at my kids and he says, "What's the best part of your dad's sabbatical?" And I sit back, and waiting. And Bethany all she said was, "I have my dad fully present."
Yep.
And Phil goes, "Oh, that makes sense." And his wife, she looked at him like, "Hey, honey," and I think that answered it.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I was fully present with my kids, and that was a lesson. And then, honestly, that had been a question I'd had on my radar. My question for the Lord has been, why, when I'm in a conversation with anybody, do I feel rushed? Why am I not present?
Yep.
I hate that about me.
Yep.
And why am I not? What is happening? Because I feel like I'm getting out of who I am. So then the kids then came home on July 15th, and Jill and I went to Boston and spent time in the New England area for 2 weeks. And that was just sweet because it was just her and I. And we have a great friendship. She's my best friend, and I love hanging out with her anyway. And we could talk and listen to books and do our own thing.
Yeah. Did you hear some good Boston accents?
Oh, great ones.
Yeah.
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 Great time.
Yeah. And did you lose your khakis?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Got to go to Fenway, which was always a dream of mine, but didn't get to go to a game, but because they were on the All-Star break. We got to do a tour and I just saw a lot of great things, and that was sweet for us. And I think for my family, they would tell you that the time away has allowed me to be more present. I think that's the thing I've been focusing a lot of that with other things too.
Yep.
But just being more engaged.
So then I guess the next question would be just, what did you learn about yourself? Weaknesses, tendencies, patterns, that kind of thing. How's that fall into play?
Well, I'll share the sins that would be probably appropriate to share, with a broader audience. I've shared a lot with the elders. I sent them a sabbatical report and basically kind of gave them all the goods. I just have not been at rest. I don't take a day off. I kind of brag about it a little bit, like, I'm a hard worker, And I read a great book by a guy named David Murray called Reset. And it's written to pastors. I didn't recommend everything in the book, but most of it was excellent. But one of the parts he made in the book that was so helpful to me was, if you don't take a day off, you're actually saying that you are better than God.
Yeah,
because
no kidding.
God worked 6 days, he took a day off.
Rest.
And it's sinful for you not to take a day off. And he gave very practical suggestions on things to do on your day off, of which was really helpful to me. Because I've struggled with, what do I do on my day off? I mean, I got nothing to do.
Right.
And he just said, look, you probably enter into it with nothing to do. So if you read for a living, you sit at a desk, work with your hands, go play around a golf, go do something. And that was really freeing. And so because I usually on Mondays will answer email, answer texts, write my musings, get my blog stuff done, get my schedule for the week, read a book, get ready for Sunday. And then before you know it, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. And my wife's like, you've been in front of your computer all day.
Yep.
So I just decided, okay, I'm going to take a day off every week. And I'm going to focus on that day, and that day's Monday. And I'm just going to make sure that day has something I can enjoy with my family, my wife, myself, whatever. And that was one thing. So the lack of rest. The other thing that hit me was being busy is not a problem. Being hurried is a problem. And so I begin to ask, why am I hurried? And some of that is because of, it goes back to a belief thing. That I feel like I need to get to certain things or else. And the Lord began to remind me that, for my job, what I do for a living, pastoring people, it's about two things. It's relating to Christ and relating to his people. So it allowed me to kind of slow down and like intentionally listen to a conversation, which is what I used to do. I used to be involved in a lot of conversation, caring for people. And I've kind of stepped out of that a little bit. Then the last thing I'd add to some of this, and is I'm a leader. I have some gifts of leadership, and I realized that probably the last 10 years in the growth of our family, our family's been in its busiest time ever, and in our growth of our church has been the biggest growth time in the last 10 years. I probably has focused a little too much on leading. And not enough on pastoring. And so pastor, you gotta lead with your pastoring, but you gotta pastor with your leading. And I found myself in a lot of things where I'm giving direction all the time instead of wondering, like digging down in a little bit the pastor part. Like, now what is going on in the heart of the situation of why we need to do this?
Sure.
Or what's going on in you? Are you okay? And I found myself, since I've made those adjustments, to just, there's a situation that happened today, and I was in the middle of something, and somebody came in to tell me what was going on. And generally in the past, I just said, how am I going to get out of this conversation quickly so I can and get back to what I'm got to get done? Instead, I stopped, I listened, I asked some questions, and then at the end, I just said, you know what, let's do this. Let's pray before you get out of here. And they were, I think they felt cared for. And so, which matters,
right?
And it's just some of the things I've just been seeing in my soul that and some of that was just being able to unplug and look at it from a 30,000 foot view of like, what's going on in my soul? I think I've said this often, but the previous 2 sabbaticals were for my family and this one was for my soul. And I'm grateful. I mean, I really am. I told the guys in my letter to them was that I'm so grateful they saw this before I did. And they knew the need before I needed it.
Well, it sounds like you're more present with your family, but also more present with God's people.
Well, that's a thing. And I think that's a funny thing about this. And I don't know how to put it in an odd way. I'm gonna put it in a weird way. It's going to sound...
Oh, we're going to go weird.
It's going to sound a little prosperity gospel-ish.
Yeah.
But I found that when I gave my time to God, that God gave me more time. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with money. I don't know how to describe that.
Yep.
So what it allowed me to do is I just said to the Lord, Monday is a day for rest. And I'm going to go to it with rest. I'm going to hit it hard resting. And so the last 2 Mondays in particular, I've been home because the first week on, I was flying to Philadelphia for some meetings. And what it's done then, it's allowed me to slow down. And I don't feel like I'm rushed. And I'm getting everything done.
Right.
So I get to the end of my day and I'm closing my computer, shutting it down, which you've been on me for years about turning my computer off. And I don't because I got to get home and work on it. Now I shut my computer completely off and I go home and I'm fully engaged with my family.
Yeah.
And I'm able to just sit with those guys, hear about their day and do whatever. Now this is also the slowest part of my year. I mean, this isn't the spring yet. So
You're right.
I'm a little nervous about, okay, I need to make some adaptations of what I'm going to do in the spring.
Sure.
With baseball going on at the same time. So those, you're exactly right. I don't know how to describe it. But that's what's happened.
Yeah. Well, that seems great. I mean, so still that we talked about marriage, talked about your family, what fresh vision did God give you just for CLF during this time?
Well, I mean, the biggest one, I told the elders honestly that one of my biggest fears, I'm 55. And I know as I'm getting older, my energy levels are down. One of my biggest fears, I thought, okay, if I unplug, am I going to plug back in? If I get a taste of like just not doing anything except having a good time with my family and people that I know and I love to be around, am I going to come back and get involved in this sticky?
Yeah. Well, Jill, we're selling everything. We're buying an island in Tahiti.
100%. I mean, so the one part I think that it would increase in my soul, and a lot of this was, and I was grateful for Lewis's preaching. He did a fantastic job.
Yes, he did.
He pointed us to Christ. And so we were listening to that on the road, and I was so affected, again, about just loving Jesus and loving his people. So I was really encouraged just to come back home and do that. I'm a simpleton. I'm not a creative dude. I think very small in some ways, like love Jesus, love his people, and be good and see what God does.
Yep.
The parable I preached on Sunday was a parable that the Lord had been stirring in me.
Yeah.
Just fall asleep, man.
Yep.
Sleep well. And then rejoice in the fruit.
Yep.
So that was one thing. The other thing that the Lord really stirred on me was just faith for the future. I mean, and I don't know. I just started thinking about our building. I think about our future, the young leaders that God's putting in place, our gifted older men.
Multiple.
Yeah. Our gifted older men that are humble, that are wanting to go. They want to transition well. They want to serve Christ until they're in a pine box.
Right.
These are Caleb's of the Old Testament. These are give me my mountain men.
Yep.
These are not messing around dudes. And yet they are seeing a group of young guys coming along and they're like, how do we sacrifice to make time for those guys? How do we sacrifice to give a space for them? And I could see that brewing before I left, and I could feel it in my heart, like God's doing something unique in us.
Right.
And he's preparing us to get stable in a sense, because where we are right now with our ages is a lot of our guys are older. Some of them are toward retirement age.
Sure.
And where we are is we could go plant a church in a sense, but we're saying to ourselves, well, we got some young guys that we need to get onto our team so we can stabilize the mothership and then plant. And I feel like we're closer to a plant than we've ever been. But I also feel like we're closer to being more stable than we've ever been.
Sure.
And so it just has a good feel. Like I think the Lord's got some things going on that he's stirring in us.
We're just farming.
The other thing the Lord gave me real favor in is there were some things hanging on us before I left that I had to basically say, I cannot be a part of the handling of it.
Right.
And our guys did such a great job.
Yep.
And it continues to increase my faith that if it's going to get done right, it isn't just going to come from me.
Yeah, right.
And I'm so grateful. Not that I've done it right, because I don't think I have. I've screwed up in a lot of ways, and I feel really bad about a lot of my pastoral mistakes.
Gift of God and gift of plurality of leaders.
Oh man, and I'm so grateful. And so I come home to a happy church. I come home to a church thriving. Dave Quilla told me 2 days ago the giving increased through the summer. Which you're like, what? No, that never happens. No matter, Now, Grant, I'm thinking, man, okay, I just go away every summer and keep them, But those things were all good signs, and so it just gave me fresh faith for some things, some energy to like, let's launch, man, let's get moving, and that was really encouraging. Then the last thing was just a different vision for like how I might lead. I think I've done a good job through the years of training some leaders. I now need to start like putting them in my hip pocket and saying, okay, you lead this now, and I'm going to watch you, and I'm going to observe you, and I'm going to help you. Or you preach this, and I'm going to let you do this, and I want to talk you through that. Or I need you to lead this hard meeting, and I'm going to sit with you and watch you lead it, just to help and be a friend. I think those things are. I think that's where we're going next, and because I think we got a lot of guys that we need to start launching.
Sure.
So yeah,
sure.
It was a good thing, and I'm very grateful. I'm glad that I checked back in.
I was about to say. So along those lines, you talked about the possibility of not plugging back in. What were the things that you did miss about ministry? Nothing. Moving on.
No. It's funny. I will say something interesting. I love preaching. I didn't miss it as bad as I thought it would.
Okay.
And I love declaring God's word to our people. Before I'd left, I'd already made a plan in my mind that I'd like to. We're gonna talk about this more, but I'm gonna preach it to touch less, and do other things more. And this was helpful, because I think it allowed me to do that. Let me step back. So I didn't miss that like I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
The other thing I just miss people.
Yeah.
I'm a people person, and I realized that was one of the things that's kind of my kids and I, we've talked a lot about this with my family did together, but we through the years have been very hospitable. And what our kids have noticed in the last 10 years is we've been so busy that home has become like just throw down and just like, okay, let's just recover from the day.
Yep.
And our kids have said and missed like, man, can we just have some more friends over? Can we do more things at the house like we used to do, and get back to some old kind of relatable things? And some of our dearest friends are in this church.
Yep.
And so it's just something that we've been talking about and trying to implement. And we did a couple things even last week with the kids. It was really refreshing and just fun. And so I think those were things we missed. One thing that was interesting to me was like reading the Bible again, just for my own soul and not for somebody else. And so it was good to kind of decompress from that and kind of get out of that I think that's a bad pattern.
Sure.
But yeah, those are to me the main things.
So what would you say to CLF about, just Christians thinking about the need for rest?
Well, it's like I told our team on Saturday night at our care group, if I put things in a sin category, they change. If I put them in maybe it's an option, it doesn't. You got to put the concept of rest in a sin category. I think we have two problems. We have two extremes in our church. You have the hustle culture. You got dudes that they're going to make it.
Get it.
I hear our guys all the time. I'm a man. I'm a work. I'm a do. And I hear that, and I'm like, well, the challenge with that is eventually, if you violate the principles of God, your body's going to break down. One of the things I did on the break was I went back and I started asking the Lord, like, okay, let's go back over my 2 Achilles tears. Let's go back over my COVID bout when I had it. It was really bad, and I was out for a long time. Let's go back and I look back at those seasons of life, and I wasn't doing any rest. And I'm convinced that the Lord will, if you're not going to obey the Lord, He's going to force it on you.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So that's one thing is you have the hustle culture, but we also have a real comforting vacation culture.
For sure.
Some of us can afford to go wherever we want to go.
Yep.
And my fear is that we take rest too far and we don't engage the work of the kingdom enough. So the balance is rest is intended by God to recreate some energy in your soul and your life for the sake of re-engaging the work of the kingdom of God in your job, your workplace, your school, your neighborhood, your family, your church. It's not just to check out. And my fear with CLF in our vacation culture is we love, you can look online and see the amount of trips our people go on. I got nothing wrong with you can afford those things and you can do them. My question is, does it fit within the model of what Christ is asking you to do? If it's just checking out, and that and vacations can become addicting. It become another form of self-medication.
Sure.
That I think we've got to ask ourselves, is it an imbalance of what God has?
Yep.
And so remember, God says 6 days of the week you work and 1 you rest. Well, if we're taking, every 6 weeks, we've got, 2 weeks of vacation that we're doing, or we're always checking out. We probably need to reevaluate some things. So
is this really allowing me to re-engage with God's people?
Right, exactly. So that's one thing. So I think we have two extremes. So what I say in the balance is you do need to pick 1 day a week where you shut everything off. Shut your phone off from where work can reach you or people can reach you. Only the people you want to reach you. And your phones can set you. You can do that. You can set it up that way. And then you also need to see it as a point of sin and obedience to the Lord, because it has a benefit, and the benefit is if I give my time to God, God somehow gives time back. You're not going to be missing anything.
Yeah, right.
And that's what hit me was I realized I think I'm better than God, and I actually think, you know what, God doesn't know as good as I do, and if I don't get this done,
right,
then people are going to be needing this, and I realized no, that can wait.
Yeah,
and then just readjusting my work schedule,
right,
my regular rhythm of work, has helped me immensely to just change it, work and rest, and doing that in a healthy balance.
Yeah, we're talking about spiritual maturity and even just discipline in order to distinguish from what's a necessity and what's just something that I want to do right now.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yep.
I'm concerned about it when I look at my life and I look at others. You mentioned in the introduction about burnout, and I was asking myself questions like, man, am I going through burnout?
Right.
Am I fizzling out at 55? I mean, I want to be 80 and still be like a dude that people are going, hey, wise sage, I got some questions for you about this. I want to be that guy. I want to be, I see Bruce Wells and Bill Hurd and these guys, they're just going for it. And I'm like, I want to be that guy, but I'm starting to see that I've been running at such a pace I can't keep it up.
Right.
And the Lord just was very kind to say, yeah, it's because you've been sinning against some things, and you need to get that right.
Interesting. So, last question for you, Pastor Dave. What encouragement would you give to those who just feel weary right now? We're heading into a new school year. There's a lot of parents out there that are just thinking, my gosh, we barely made it to the summer, and here comes the kickstart to fall and everything that comes with that. What do you say to those guys?
Well, I'd let Jesus talk to you. And he says, come unto me all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and lowly in heart. You'll find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And I'd say go to Jesus.
Yeah. Matthew what?
11:28.
11:28.
Yeah, that's where it starts. I would say go to Christ, submit to him and what his ways are about this. Be very honest about your soul. It's the question I've been asking myself a lot is not just the what of my sin, but the why of it. Why is it there? Oh, it's because I think this way. Or I want this. And let the Lord bring you rest. And I think when you find that you are at rest in your soul, then you'll find that you'll be at rest in the presence of other people. And when you're at rest in your soul, you're at rest in leading your family. You're at rest with your job, and the Lord, according to Romans 12, as your mind is renewed and transformed by that rest, I think the Lord brings you, then you're able to discern what the will of God is.
For sure.
Which is perfect and lacking in nothing. And you're able to then in hard situations kind of go, oh, I think this is where we need to go. I'll give you, can I give one example of this?
Absolutely.
So I get off my sabbatical, and the first place I'm going and work is I'm going to lead the executive committee of Sovereign Grace.
Jump right in.
So I literally am going. I've only read. I got off on Friday. Saturday, I stayed at my office here at the church after the men's breakfast, and I read all the materials to get ready for Monday because the meetings were going to start on Tuesday. I'm going in a little blind, and I'm going in, never have led anything like this in my life. I am fully at rest. I have zero anxiety. I'm in the meetings and listening and just observing things and able to say, let's spend more time on that issue, or let's stop and pray about that issue, or yes, that's a great idea, or maybe, what are your thoughts about this? Or hearing guys give input on a variety of decisions that need to be made, and guys saying, no, I think this is the will of the Lord, and you're able to discern it differently. And I just felt totally at ease.
Yeah.
And I left there. I got on the plane to go home. I wasn't even tired. We were going from, 8 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, then going to dinner and talking more.
Yeah.
I wasn't even tired.
Yeah.
I was like,
no vacation at all.
Yeah.
You're right.
And so then I'd come home, and I knew that Saturday had to be a day of rest because I'd been doing that all. So I just laid low and chilled out with the fam and enjoyed being home. But my point is, I just think God does something with that, and He honors it, and it clears your brain up, and it allows you to think more, differently. You can discern things differently. So anyway, it's been super helpful.
That's so good. Well, I'm sure I speak for everyone when just saying we're glad you're back. We're glad you had some rest, but we're glad you're here again.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me say this too. And I know this is, it takes a good church to not only send us off and to do this, but to support it wholeheartedly. We had incredible support.
Yeah.
The day I left, I got some great prayers from people. They just say, hey, here's what I'm praying for you while you're gone. Yeah. Stan wrote me a devotional from Psalm 23. And what I told Stan this, what he didn't know is when I was a young man, a guy told me to meditate on Psalm 23 for a full year, month of your life.
Really?
And I just meditated on Psalm 23.
Wow.
And so it was refreshing to read this from my brother.
Yeah.
And I had those kind of things coming to me. And I just want to say to CLF and our leaders, I can't thank you guys enough. And not just because you grew and you were stable, but the support, the love, man, we're so glad you could do that. We're grateful to God that you're here. We're glad you're back, but man, we're so glad you could do that.
Right.
That just is very humbling, and I'm very grateful.
Yep, definitely a gift. Church is a gift, for sure.
Amen.
Well, to CLF, that's going to wrap things up for us. Even though you didn't have time to rest, Pastor Dave just took 8 weeks off and came back more energized than ever. If God can run the universe without us for a while, I'm sure He can handle your inbox too. Thanks for listening to CLF Conversations. Remember, rest isn't just a nap. It's a reminder that God is in control. Worship, fellowship, grow, serve. Thanks for joining us for another episode of CLF Conversations, where we grow in Christ one conversation at a time.